On today's episode of Drummers Eating Pizza, John sits down with New Jersey native Pat Petrillo to discuss his mom's homemade pizza and his love of music from an early age. We learn about Pat's start on his drumming path and his career based in the incredible New York City music scene of the 80s and 90s. Pat talks about his educational endeavors and his original music albums and the historic studios he recorded them in. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And now, Drummers Eating Pizza. All right, everybody. We are back with Drummers Eating Pizza. Pat Petrillo,
Yes,
the amazing
sir. Oh,
Pat
thank
Petrillo.
you. This is amazing right here.
I think Pat is, after the lesson we had, is going to be my new Mr. Miyagi guru, because within the hour that we took lessons, my head was exploding a little bit.
You did good, though,
Lots
man.
to think about.
Lots to think about, but you did good, though. You did good. I appreciate you coming down here to the Dirty Jers. And we're about to dig into this margarita pie right here.
Get you a slice.
It's my favorite.
Guest of honor.
My favorite spot. Come in here. You know, try not to do it too often, you know, ruin my girlish figure, you know. So I got to make sure I, you know, keep the calories down. But I mean, I do try to hit this place.
And this is what, Cafe
Amici, South Brunswick, New Jersey. If you know, you already know. If you're in Jersey, if you come off of 8A, you'll find this place. Cafe Amici.
I haven't even taken a bite, and I can already tell it's going to be amazing.
And I love margarita pies, man. I mean, you know, it's just enough. I mean, the regular pies are cool.
Yeah.
But to me, I like a little extra basil on mine.
Yep.
There's a little extra, like the whole pieces of basil. But let's do the flop test. No flop. Look at this bad boy. No. Come on now.
Nothing.
There ain't nothing going on with this. Nothing but the rent. All right. Mangiare. Bon appetit.
Oh, yeah.
That's for real right there.
Yep. Not super thin, not thick.
It's perfect, really.
Yeah, it is.
And it's fresh. He just made it for us, too. He just made it fresh for us.
Sauce has got a nice little,
Oh, yeah.
not a kick, but
I
very
know,
flavorful.
It's flavorful.
Perfect.
It's sweet.
So, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Jersey?
Not far from here. Yeah.
So this is your...
I grew up in New Brunswick, New Jersey, which is where Rutgers University is, not far from here.
Yep.
Yeah, well, you know, I grew up a little spoiled because my mom made her own pies. Excuse me. I'm a full-blooded Italian, so she would make a pie, you know, once a week, probably from scratch. And it was very similar to a margarita.
Yep.
With the mozzarella on it, and she put the basil on it and stuff, and it was very, very good. So and my mom was funny, man. We didn't have all this fancy rotary cutters and all that. She stood up with the big scissors,
The
man.
scissors, yeah.
And just
I've
cut
seen
it
that.
up.
Yeah.
And she cut it into squares like a Sicilian slice, but she didn't make the round. Her pie was square, so she would just cut it up into squares for us, and she'd make 2 pies and feed the whole neighborhood, basically.
Nice.
You know, so yeah.
Now,
so this is my go-to.
Now, topping-wise, is like, what are your go-to, like a margarita?
That's it.
That's it?
Maybe mushrooms, occasionally, depends how hungry I am. Don't put nothing else on my pizza, man. Don't give me no chicken. Don't give me no pasta on my on my pizza. Don't give me nothing. Just give me the pizza like they do in Italia. Okay,
Yep.
Just give it to me straight. And sometimes pepperoni depends, though, because pepperoni can be overpowering with a pizza, man.
Absolutely.
If it's not good and it gives you agita.
Yeah.
Like we went to a place in Princeton, me and my wife, and it was really good. It's just, I'm craving pepperoni pie. So we went there, and it was good. But I don't like anything else on my pie, man. It's like this, maybe some mushrooms, nothing else.
See, I experiment.
The crust is like you could,
Yeah.
I mean, just the aroma of it.
You can hear it in the mic.
Yeah, right?
Not too crunchy.
If you had
But not
smell-o-vision,
Oh, yeah.
you'd be in heaven
It's
right about
coming.
now.
It's coming.
Perfect.
Yeah. This is really good.
Good pull.
Also, we had some meatballs. Mm-hmm. I have some remnants of meatballs.
Mine's gone already.
Pat got his protein in.
Got my protein. I'm good. Now this is really good. You can hear the crunch.
That'll go through the microphone.
Ooh, delish. So I didn't grow up far from here, so I'm a Jersey born and bred.
So here's the first music type question.
Okay.
What's your first musical memory?
First musical memory is listening to the Beatles. I have two much older brothers, but the brother in front of me is about 16 years older than me, and he plays Beatles records. So all the time I'm 4 or 5 years old, that's what I'm listening to in my house all the time. And he had a little band, and they would play, all the music that was big in 1965, 6, 7, whatever it was. So that's my first musical memory in terms of listening to music, and I was hooked from that on. Like, I listened to the Beatles, and I knew all the words, I knew everything to every song, And when he left, I had his records. He took some with him, but down the basement, I'd just sit there and play the Beatles records. And, drumming just kind of came to me. I think I was just sprinkled with it a little bit, and I was just always, he showed me a couple little things.
Did he play drums? Your brother played drums?
No, he played guitar, but
Okay.
we would rehearse at either my house or a friend's house, and he would just show me how to play beat. But I would just do it with my hands and give me some sticks.
Yep.
I'd play on the couch or whatever, but I would just listen to the music and knew the lyrics and all of that. So that was my first real musical memory that stuck with me. And then when I was about 10, 12, I bought my first James Brown 8-track, Hot Pants. Because I grew up in a very mixed neighborhood, and you can hear all kinds of music. Open your window and you're going to hear James Brown, you're going to hear Marvin Gaye, you're going to hear salsa, you're going to hear Pavarotti, you're going to hear a lot of different things in my neighborhood. So, so I went from the Beatles, I went from Ringo to Clyde Stubblefield in one afternoon.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it. I just, so I learned that stuff really early on.
Yeah.
I can remember getting on my bike and going down to the record store and getting my first 8-track, Hot Pants. It was great. That's how I learned how to play shuffle, really. That and Ringo, I learned how to play shuffle.
I did see you post, which Beatles song was it? Like a couple weeks ago, where you played it note for note.
Yeah, I do that on how it was played on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Which is Pat P Drummer, by the way.
We're gonna post all of that in the links at the bottom. All of Pat's info on how to get in contact with him. He does lessons in person, Zoom lessons.
Yeah.
Yep. Which I guess one good thing that came out of COVID was Zoom lessons, right?
That is the one good thing.
I did 1 or 2 Skype lessons, but it was,
It started as Skype.
Yeah. They got a little bit better.
Yeah. So,
But
my thing with Ringo is, growing up, like I said, growing up with that stuff and playing it, hearing it first, and then knowing and hearing the drums that he played, and you would know the sticking that he did. He didn't always start things with the left hand. He's left-handed. He would always do a pickup with his right hand, a 1. It would always be right-left. So if you know the concept of the 8th note stays in the left hand for the most part, and the 16ths are in the right hand, all the fills play themselves.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's leading with the left hand, because some of the fills start before the beat, and that's right hand. But any 16th note is with the right hand, and he just did mostly 8th note fills with his left hand.
Yeah.
And then most of his fills end on an and. Boom, then and 1. He rarely would fill into the beat. And when he did do that, you could see on videos of him today, he played paradiddle.
Yeah.
He would play a double with his left.
Yeah, to come back on the right.
Yeah, but he rarely did that. But you could see him doing that now. He'd do a double with his left to crash on his right. Other than that, most of his fills would end on an and of 4, so he could crash on 1.
Yep. Now here's a question: have you ever met Ringo?
No.
No.
One day,
Yeah.
maybe, who knows?
All right, first musical memory. So, the beginnings of your drumming was your brother showing you a few little drum beats to get you going.
Yeah, and just, listening to the music and me just playing on the couch to the beat, yeah.
Now, when did you first get a drum set?
It's
Or
a little,
snare drum, or...
oh, I have to send you the picture. My first snare drum for Christmas, I was about 4. And it was a real snare drum. And I played on it. I can remember playing on it, banging on it. But then I got my first real kit, this is a Japanese kit called a Hilo, Hilo. Real, pawn shop kind of drum set. Some cheap ass cymbals.
Yep.
I was probably in 5th grade, whatever age that is, 5th, 6th grade.
Yeah. And was it immediate, like, that's what I'm doing? Like, did you come home from school and play the drums? And or was it kind of just a hobby?
No,
I did.
I did, but I continued to listen to my records though.
Yeah.
And then I would play along to them. I would set up the drums and play along to the records and learn the beats that way. I don't remember if it was like every day. I'm sure it was pretty often, but I don't know if it was every day or whatever. But yeah. But again, for me, it was the drums were the vehicle to perform the music that I love to hear, and it came out that way. I would listen to music more than I would play music, if that makes any sense.
Yep, absolutely. When did you start your first band?
I didn't ever start a band. I was never in bands growing up.
No?
We had jazz band in school. 5th, 6th, 7th grade into high school, I was in jazz band. We would rehearse 2 or 3 days after school. So I really wasn't in a cover band as a teenager at all, or do any of that stuff. I was in drum corps.
Yep.
So I did a lot of DCI stuff. By the time I was like 13, I was in a drum corps, a local parade corps when I was about 12, and then I got into a bigger corps. So I marched like 9 years in drum corps. And
So
really got my hands
how does that work? Because I know New York, New Jersey's big for drum corps stuff. Where I am in Western Mass, there's like nothing.
There used to be a lot up there. There used to be a lot more in Jersey too. Tons. Every town had a little parade corps.
Yep. And then with DCI, that's like a competitive
That's a competitive thing.
league
Yeah.
for drum corps.
Look at that, man. That's like perfect, right? Man, come on now. Yeah, so I did that. I did competitive drum corps, and there was a lot more drum corps back then. There was a lot more shows, local, regional shows, and then we would go on tour and go to championships or whatever, wherever it was. But that was primarily my thing. That's how I got my hands together, really, was in drum corps.
Now, when did you get your first teacher, like private teacher?
Funny story. So, my mom, like, my brother was in front of me. He was out of the house by the time I was 7. And he's much older than me. So I kind of grew up an only child in some ways, you know. But she wanted to get me involved in stuff. So she had taken me to the local drum corps she saw in the local paper. It was just a parade corps. It wasn't competitive. And we did parades and stuff. That was about 11 or 12. But that got me out there, you know what I mean? I was just hanging on my block mostly. I wasn't getting out and meeting people and doing social things. And then she decided to take me for lessons. And I really wasn't into it much, you know. I just wanted to listen to the Beatles and play, you know, what I could play. And I was in school band, so I was getting my school stuff that way, and then drum corps. But she took me for lessons, and we went to this place in my town, and the lessons were upstairs. So I remember we went up there, and they had the remote practice sets.
Yep.
And they had a couple different rooms, and I don't even remember the guy. Come on in, you know. My mom's like, yeah, he can play, you know. He's down there. The guy's like, yeah, right, okay. You know, so I was about 10, maybe. I don't even know, something like that. 10, 12, not even. I wasn't even close to a teenager yet. I was probably just going into 5th grade or something like that. And my mom wanted to give me lessons. So I went up there, and it's like, I never seen a practice pad set. What the heck is this? You know, where's my drums? He goes, all right, let me see what you can do. Sit down and play a little bit. You know, and it's like, what's this, you know? So on the pads, I went I just kept playing. I knew Ringo. That's all I knew. You know, I could play that. You know, probably had a slight swing to it. Even I don't even know. And he said, "Well, okay." He looked at his mom, and she was talking to her about the price, whatever. She looked at me. "What do you think?" I said, "It's not real drums. I don't know." And the guy said literally to my mom, "He don't really need lessons." I mean, if I was you, whatever he's doing, just let him
keep doing it.
Keep do that. I mean, if he's not ready, he doesn't really. That could have been the best thing that happened to me. Mm-hmm. Because if I'd have got with some teacher who got me doing some, stuff on, he might have taught me how to play jazz before I even knew anything about the music.
Yeah.
I was always a music first guy, music first. Like today, I know there's kids, the people that I teach sometimes, I say, "What do you listen to?" "I don't listen to music." And if they do, I say, "Where do you get your music from?" "YouTube."
Yeah.
And it's like crazy to me, So I think that was the best thing that could happen to me. So I never really had formal drum set lessons until I got to college.
So when did you know, like, this is my path? Was it like...
I was still trying to find it. No, I know what you're saying. I didn't really have a choice, man. I was in high school, really good music program, marching band, and I was involved in drum corps. They had these career days. Did you go to career day? And nothing was really speaking to me, like, gym teacher. Accountant. I mean, well, I don't know. I suck at math. All this stuff. So, my band director said, you consider. My assistant band director was a percussionist, because that happens a lot. Like your band director is like a brass player, or something. Yep. The assistant's like a wind or a percussion person. But he was a rudimental drummer, good drummer, percussionist. He started showing me mallets, and this junior year he started saying, "You should think about, you have a very good ear." I took music theory. I did great ear training. Could hear intervals and could hear major, minor, augmented, diminished. He says, "You got an ear. You should consider it." So, okay. I started looking at schools. I started looking at colleges for music, and I didn't know if it was going to be, what it was going to be really. Playing, teaching, I didn't know.
And where did you end up going?
Well, I was recruited by a couple different colleges locally, and went to visit a couple, and they had good jazz programs, but they didn't really have like a really good percussion, like well-rounded percussion program. So I was saying I was in drum corps, so the summer going into my senior year, I was on tour with the Garfield Cadets, and we were in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And my mom used to work the souvenir group of the T-shirts. She ended up going in the stands to watch us, and she was sitting behind a man who was handing out flyers for a university. She heard him talking and stuff. She turned and goes, "My son's a drummer." And he's like, "Yeah." She says, "Yeah, he's in Garfield Cadets. He's a drummer. He's very good. He plays drum set too. He's really good." And I was doing DCI individuals and stuff. So she took a flower and goes, "He's really good." And he's like, "Yeah, right, lady, whatever." Same thing, mother bragging about her kid, So she come running down to the buses with this flyer. Pat, this guy was going to give you a scholarship. You should check it out." I looked at the flyer, Morehead State University in Morehead, Kentucky. First of all, I didn't know where Kentucky was on a map, no less Morehead, Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, but this man had a nice flyer, talked about what you have to do, what you're going to learn. We have a big percussion program, this and that. So I reached out, and after the summer, called him, set up a interview. When my parents, we drove down to Kentucky. Did my audition on timpani, worked up a little mallet thing, snare drum thing, and he gave me a scholarship and some in-state tuition. And I had a great time and learned a lot. I spent 5 years, got my master's in music ed. And then, it was great, man. I wouldn't have changed a thing. It was perfect for me because I was like away from Jersey. I would only come back for drum corps practice in like November, December, and then when school was out, I was ready to go. I was in the Bayonne Bridgman, so I was able to march there and go on tour and all that. So it was fun. I learned a lot. But I was a puppy, man. I started like with nothing. Like everybody there was better than me. When I went and visited and I watched the percussion ensemble, I was like, that's what I want to do, because all of them dudes are great. This guy is playing timpani here, mallets here, snare drum piece here, then he's playing percussion, all these guys are playing everything.
Yeah.
And I was scared shit. Because I was like, all right, I got good hands and I can play some drum set, but I can't do that. I'm not a musician.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a musician. I'm a drummer, you know. But that carried me along, and I needed to be in a place where everybody was better than me.
Yeah.
I needed to be, because I was used to being the top dog, you know. I didn't need to push. I needed to just see what's out there. I didn't know. I needed everybody to show me, like, this is what you can do, and you need to do this, 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 this. So I was really motivated.
Yeah.
I loved it. I learned a lot. Got my degree.
And then what did you do after, when Pat's entering the big world?
Wow.
What was Pat's plan?
Come home, have mom's pizza first.
Good choice.
That was the first plan. Mom, make me a pie, please. Pat didn't know what the hell he was going to do. I came home. I got a high school band director's job, assistant band director's job, because I needed money.
Yep.
Got a job, and I was living down the Jersey Shore. My parents had moved down, place by Asbury Park, and so I was like, okay, I need money, so I got a job, assistant band director. And I said, but I'm going to keep up with my percussion and my studying and my drum set in particular. So I had gotten a flyer in the mail. I don't know how it came to me, but I got a flyer from Drummers Collective in New York City. And I think it was because I was on the list for Percussive Art Society. That could be.
Okay.
And I got
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I got the flyer. So I said, man, I went to my dad. I said, Dad, you know, my parents, you got to check this place out. I said, I want to do this, you know, keep pursuing my playing. Studio drumming class, and you know, kind of break into all of this stuff. I said, okay, if you want to do it, the classes were at night. So I go teach till 3, get home at 4:30, get in my car, drive to Manhattan, take a 3-hour class on studio drumming, take a private lesson, go to a club and hang till 1, get home at 2:30, get up at 6. You know, so I did that a whole year, basically, and studied with a lot of guys at the collective. And by the time I was done that year, I was offered to start subbing a chorus line on Broadway.
Nice.
So when that happened, I knew I had to leave teaching. But you got your fork in your road.
Yeah. Which way are you going to go?
If you go here, if you're committed, then you got to go.
Yeah.
If you don't, then just stay what you're doing. So I said, I quit. You know, I turned in my resignation. My parents said, we're 100% behind you, and to keep your studies going at the collective, keep meeting people. And I started subbing a chorus line a lot. Like I did it a couple, 3 times a week, maybe. A couple times a week at least. And then I started doing other shows. I did Grease. I started subbing around and meeting other musicians and playing in ensembles at the collective. And that's when I met Rob Wallace from Hudson Music, who at the time was DCI Music Video, their earliest videos. It was funny because we were in the elevator one day, we're going down the elevator, and he goes, hey Pat, you know your rudiments, right? I'm like, yeah, I mean, you know, of course I know my rudiments, you know, and drum corps and all this stuff. Because yeah, that's what I thought. And he goes, hey, you wanna do a video? I was like, what do you mean a video? He goes, well, you know, we do these instructional videos. You know, we have a Gad and a Steve Smith, and we built a video on the rudiments. Elevator door opens up. I said, okay. He goes, all right, come to the office tomorrow. We'll write the script and we'll shoot it in a couple of weeks. All right, bet. So that opened me up into the education world, and it was one of the first instructional videos ever.
Yep, from out of DCI.
Snare drum rudiments, yeah. 30 minutes.
Is it still floating around out there?
Oh, there's copies. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
copies, but it's sold. Rob told me it was probably one of the top 3 sellers. No, I was making good residuals. You know.
Yeah, I remember reading Modern Drummer and seeing the ads in the back.
Yeah.
And cutting it out, checking off the ones that I wanted,
Wow.
and being like, "Mom, could you please write a check to whatever?" And you got to send it out, and then it's like whatever it's whatever
Thank
the
you.
thing
I owe
was.
you a slice of pizza.
6 to 8 week shipping and handling and blah blah blah, and you'd wait for it to come in. And I just remember, I can't remember which. I think it was I got one of the Buddy Rich scholarship ones.
Oh, that was much later.
Yeah. But I remember playing it, and my father was like, "You gotta wait till I go to bed. I'm not watching drumming." Because we only had one VCR in the living room, so I had to wait for him to go to bed until I could put the video on and watch
That's
it.
funny. But snare drum rudiments did great. Sold all over the world. Thousands and thousands of copies. Rob told me the number once, and I forgot it, but it was he says it's really insane. You know. Yeah, I've got my first. I wish I had kept that first check. You know. But anyway, so that was the first thing, and that kind of opened me up to the rest of the world to get to know who I was. Because even though it was snare drum rudiments, at the end I did a little drum set thing.
Yeah.
Another still funny thing, I was in London the year that it came out, maybe the year right after. I was in London on a trip with a high school band I was teaching. And I could roam around and do some shit, whatever I wanted. So I'm going to find all the drum shops around here and just go visit. So I found this one, learned the tubes, got up there, got into the drum shops. Oh, they had nice drum shops there, And I walked in, and a lady was there. I was looking for the guy who wrote it. I think his name was John. I said, "Is John around?" She goes, "Oh, he's downstairs teaching a class." And she looked at me kind of funny. Like, yeah, I'm from America. So I'm from Jersey, really, right? But little did I know why she was looking at me like that. I went down the stairs, and she goes, "He's down there teaching." And there was a bunch of kids on practice pads, and he had my video up
Playing.
there. And he had my video on snare drum rudiments playing. This is Right Hand of God. And the guy was like, "Yeah." He couldn't believe it. What? Right. What are you doing here? It's like we're watching, we're literally watching the video of the rudiments.
I'm making sure you're doing them properly. That's why I'm here.
And that amazing? That's some funny shit, man.
Yeah.
That's when it kind of hit me like, man, this shit is global right now,
Yeah.
And that was big for 1988, whatever it was,
Absolutely. So with the education side, was that kind of like the beginning of the education journey?
Oh, yeah.
That was like the
I have
kickoff to it?
I have always taught. Even when I was a kid playing on my drums, and I got older, when I was in a freshman in high school, I was teaching kids in my neighborhood for $5. You know what I mean? So I always was helping teaching.
Educating, yeah.
So, yeah, but I always knew I was going to teach in some way, play and teach. I didn't just say, "Oh, I'm going to be a player."
Yeah.
Because I'm always a student of the drums. Because I still have so much to learn. Although I have learned quite a bit, stylistically and different drummers and all kinds of stuff from a musical standpoint. I always knew I was going to teach, and I enjoy it too. You know what I mean? So it's always something I like to do because it's income, but also it gives back.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if somebody didn't teach me, I wouldn't be where I am. So that's why I'm teaching others. And some people hate it and can't do it either, but I enjoy it. You know?
Yeah, I enjoy teaching. So, I mean, when I was in a music store, it was more of, you didn't, at least now, if I have a student that I can see that I'd like to say I've tried everything to get them motivated to do it. Because I'm sure you've had students that come through and mom says you're going to be a well-rounded student and you have to do an art class and you have to learn an instrument.
I'll tell you what though. Excuse me. I don't teach kids like that.
Yeah.
And I don't really teach a lot of kids, but if they come to me, then they should be semi, ready to go.
Yeah.
But they have to come in and sit and play, and then I tell them what it's like. said, I'm not sitting here to babysit you. You're going to do this, 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 this. I'm always going to have my hand on your back pushing you.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it, I'm going to tell your parents and we're going to stop.
Yeah.
Because I don't need the money.
Yeah.
So I pretty much draw the line. I make it serious with them, you know. Serious to the extent that they respect it. I don't mean like I'm serious, just
yeah.
But I mean like respect it. You know what I mean? And they do. They do, and I don't. I only teach hours.
Yeah.
You know, I don't teach half hours.
Yep.
It's not enough time.
Yeah. When I was in the store, it was like you'd have a good core of kids, but then you had those kids that it was just mom put them in the car.
Yeah.
And they were there, and then it was tough to. I couldn't go to the parent and say, "Listen, Billy's not doing a shit. Billy doesn't want to be here," because I knew that the music store is how they're keeping their doors open. And I was, you know, personal friends with the owners and everything, so I was like, I just have to
That's the way
put my smile on, and we're going to do a paradiddle again.
Or just play some beats or do whatever you can. And that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's nice that I don't teach as much, so I can just narrow down. If I can see that the kid's not serious about it, then I can go to the parent and just say, listen, you know, it's just you're wasting your money, and I hate to see you wasting your money. I'll keep taking it, but we're wasting. And at some point, I've told parents, like, it's not working. And I say maybe it's just me as the teacher, you know, not motivating him. Maybe there's another teacher that's going to, which I knew there probably wasn't, but I wanted to be nice and
but
say,
you're being
maybe,
nice.
yeah, maybe a different, you know, you didn't like your haircut. Maybe a different hairdresser would be a better option for you today. But
great.
Yeah. So what about, I like to ask this question, surreal moments.
Surreal moments? Is that what was your question?
Mm-hmm. Whether it was seeing a musician that you always wanted to see, or it was you on stage and it's just with musicians and the sun's setting at a festival and you're just completely killing it, where you're like, if I get hit by lightning right now, I can die happy.
I think I'm still trying to find that, honestly, but I would say the moment that I felt like really, performance-wise, there was a couple. The first one was doing a chorus line. Mm-hmm. First of all, I say that show because it's so iconic. And it was so huge. It was huge before Cats was huge. It was huge before Hamilton. It was huge. It was the Hamilton of its day, right?
Yeah,
it was so huge.
Absolutely.
Playing those notes and playing that book and hearing that crowd was really a moment of like, man, this is badass right here. This is like history, you know? And I played right up to the closing, the second to last show that it closed. My teacher, Hank, played the last show. The next one was probably when I played with Patti LaBelle, because I hadn't played with anybody that professional of a singer up to that point. And playing with her was like, the rehearsals were one thing and the sound checks were one thing, but then the performance was a completely different thing. Like, she took it to another level. Like, she was like, well, that's not what this shit sounded like about half an hour ago. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
So that's when, and I started like, oh man, I have to be like at that level of intensity. Okay, ding, ding, ding. That really hit me pretty hard. That was a pretty big moment.
Yeah.
Because that gave me a perspective of how you have to perform with artists and the level that they can bring, and you have to match that.
Yeah.
So that was a little surreal, knowing that, oh yeah, that's Patti, that's her.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, were you nervous?
Or
were you?
Not really nervous.
Yeah.
Excited, not really nervous.
Yeah. You know, when I talk to different people, and you get those people that are like, you know, I was confident enough going in, but it was just, you know, a couple people talking about like waiting for the shoe to drop, of like, I screw something up and they turn around and stare at me like, what do you know, and then thinking that's it. That's the end of the gig, or like getting to the sound check.
The band was cool. Everybody was cool and very supportive, and I wouldn't like that.
Yeah. Now, did you do like a tour with that?
Just a bunch of one-offs.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of one-offs. Then I didn't travel. The first like major tour I did was Gloria Gaynor's tour. And it wasn't even tour. It was like a week here, a week there.
Yeah.
I went to Moscow, I went to Japan, went to Europe, all different places. And then I did a tour of Dreamgirls. That was a lot of fun. The music was great. So that wasn't a surreal moment, but it was like when we were in LA for, I think like 2 weeks at the Wilshire, and the writers of the book were there at the show, and the orchestrators, and Henry Krieger and the other guy, I forget his name. And they came down into the pit, and they said, man, they were talking the whole rhythm section. The rhythm section was unbelievable. It was fantastic. Now, they didn't have to say shit. If they didn't like it, they could have just left. They didn't have to go down here, because they surely weren't going to come down and say, you suck.
Yeah.
They would just leave, and you
you
would hear about it after the fact. And they were like, and you, drummer, man, the tempos, the groove was this and that. I was like, damn, these are the guys who wrote this stuff, you know what I mean? And they loved it. So that was a fun moment, just knowing that they dug, that I did justice to their
work.
music.
Absolutely, yeah. That's like the highest compliment you can get. Yeah, playing for somebody and having them be like, that's it, right there. That's
you did it right.
We wrote the part. You grooved it. You grooved better than we wrote the notes.
Yeah.
You brought it to life. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a good moment.
Yep. Any artists that either heroes that you grew up wanting to see, whether it's somebody in the jazz world or a musician where maybe you were out in New York, or somebody that came through the collective and you were like, holy shit, like that, I've heard about this guy.
Jaco Pastorius.
Yeah? Where did you see Jaco?
Out the collective.
Yep.
New York in the 80s, mid to late 80s and early 90s that was like the peak.
Yeah.
Jaco, Steve Gadd. That's why I met Steve I think that's the first time I met Steve at the collective. It might have been at a Yamaha hang. So that was an awesome moment. And to still be friends with him is another incredible moment for my life continually, because he's a sweetheart. But Jaco was a troubled guy, man, And he was not in a great point at his life at that point in New York. And Rob got him in. He had just, I think, shot his one of his instructional videos. Yep. And Rob had got him in to teach. There's some lessons, and just to see him walking around and going in classes and coming out of class, hey man, he's like, fucking that's Jaco. What the hell is going on here? Listening to them weather report stuff. Yep. Growing up listening to that and then seeing him. So that was pretty cool. And of course Steve Gadd. I'd say those are probably the two biggest. There was another great guy too that I've been friends with for a bunch of years, but more closely the past maybe 2 or 3 years is Liberty DeVito. And Lib's just a this most sweetheart of a guy. He's been through a lot of shit, played on some great fucking records, like great records. Yeah. Iconic beats. Just a passionate drummer and a real sweetheart of a guy. And that's been very cool,
Think about what those tracks would have been without Liberty on those tracks.
Yeah.
I think it would have been
completely different. The Phil Ramone production, I know he had, had a lot to do with some of the beats in here and there, but, watching the documentary. But Lib just brought a different energy, So, those are a few. And then meeting Patty for the first time in person, it was pretty cool.
Now, did you ever because when I was in college is when Tony Williams passed.
I seen him play.
And that was one of the guys that I've always was like, I wish I'd seen Elvin play, especially in those iconic years of stuff. But even, I really was bummed because I was just getting into jazz, being at heart and being serious about it, and just sitting with, Nat Reeves. He lived around the corner from me in Hartford, and Nat would be like, "What are you doing today?" I'm like, "I got music theory and I've got composition." He goes, "I'm going to call those guys. Come over. I'm making coffee. Bring a ride cymbal."
Oh, nice.
So he'd have his upright bass, and we'd listen to, you know, Cannonball or something. He'd be like, all right, listen to him. Let's now try and just your ride cymbal. I'm going to play the bass line.
That's great, man.
And I remember him, like, you know, going in, and like Nat was in tears. I'm like, what's going on, man? Are you okay? He goes, Tony Williams passed. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, Tony, we just found out. And, you know, like all the professors were just like in tears. They were like, you know, he was such a great guy, and you know, you know, I wish I had a chance to see him play.
I saw him play at clinic at PASIC. Maybe I think they might be closing soon. I'm not sure. I think I seen him play at a PASIC clinic right before, I think the year or so or two before he died, and from behind. Hung up, you know, backstage and was watching him from behind. And definitely not what I thought Tony Williams would sound like. I mean, he was a fusion drummer. You know, he was swinging, but that dude was grooving and rocking and fusioning and the rudiments and the flams and the and the foot and the singles and it was just a freight train of amazing prowess and profound intensity.
Yeah, that's a perfect word for it.
It's just profound intensity, like with purpose. You know, everything he played was purposeful. Like he didn't waste nothing. You know, when he played, it was amazing. I did see him play, and that was ridiculous. Yeah, really ridiculous.
So we went over some things out of your books. So you've got books.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about that, and then let's talk about your original music and your records. Because when we talked about doing this, the thing I loved about you was talking about, and I'm going to paraphrase, like, people only, what you leave on record is like what you're leaving. Like your soul is in that music left on a record to hear, and you going to certain studios to record, I think that's great too, rather than like, well, this is where the record label wants me to go. You saying, nope, I'm putting a band together. This is where we're going to go. Talk about that.
Well, the first thing is the book that I have with Hudson Music is Hands, Grooves, and Fills that I wrote while teaching at the Collective, and it's been out for a while. Going to be, believe it or not, I think 20 years next year. And it is exactly what the label says. Hand exercises, a bunch of grooves with play-along music, and some cool fill ideas. Rudiment combinations and stuff. And then my newest book is Learn to Read Rhythms, which is now a hardcover book, was originally a DVD.
Yep.
But that takes you on a journey to learn how to read. If you can't read at all, it's for you. If you can read a little bit, it's for you. If you're an intermediate level, it's still for you. And even if you think you're a badass reader, I guarantee you it's for you.
Yep.
You will find something in here that you cannot do. So it takes you from 0 to
infinity.
Sort of, like harder stuff.
Yeah.
Every subdivision taught, layered, pedagogically correct. And that's on Hudson Music. And it comes with a QR code. You scan it, and you can watch a video of me playing each of these rhythms as well.
That's huge.
It's very big.
To be able to have, you know, being like, I don't understand this. There's the video. Okay,
watch the
now
video.
I get it. Yeah.
And it's the book that comes with a teacher, and it's literally 4 books in one.
Yep.
Literally. So that's on Hudson Music. I have a bunch of stuff on Drumeo. I've been here so many times, so I have a lot of videos and live lessons that I did probably 3 or 4 times, and then a bunch of curriculum that's in their thing. And then my records, I decided to put a band together, and I wanted to record at iconic studios, drum rooms, because it matters for drums. It doesn't matter for anybody else necessarily, but it matters for drums. So my first record I did a Kickstarter, and I did the Abbey Road Sessions. So that album was done at Studio 2 in Abbey Road, and sat right where Ringo sat, my idol. So that was, you know, on a Ludwig kit, just like his. And I had great arrangements of some Beatles tunes for a horn band.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut that record there, and we used the actual pianos, the Lady Madonna, the upright, all the pianos that were used on those records, on those tunes we used.
That's awesome.
And that was a great experience, being in there. It's like going into the womb, and you come down those big stairs and you're into that space with the parquet floors, and it just had a special feel to it. Even has a certain smell to it that's really cool. And it was great. It was a great experience. And my second record was the Power Station Sessions.
Yep.
All of these are on my Spotify, or you can find them everywhere.
Yep.
The Power Station Sessions, I wanted to go into the Power Station legendary New York studio, and I got to record with Nile Rodgers, who did all the Chic records and Madonna records there, so he played on a track. And this was, again, a horn band, but more original, less covers, more original stuff on this one. But we were in Studio C at the Power Station, great sounding room. And this time I brought my Ludwig Mahogany Series drums, Legacy Mahoganies. And then my latest record is called, what is my album called? I don't even know. What is my last album called? We recorded at Sunset Sound. What did I call my last record? Isn't that something? I had a brain for it. What? Oh, Contemporaneous.
Yes.
Duh. Cut. my last record I did at, it's called Contemporaneous, and I did it at Sunset Sound in Hollywood. Another legendary room. A little bit smaller, a little different vibe. But again, being in these rooms makes you play a certain way, and it sounds different. It's just a different feel to be in these different studios. So that's the goal of when I do my solo records. Is I want to go into a room that has a certain vibe to it, and history, because I'm a big drum history buff, as you know.
Yep.
So that's available. All of those are on Spotify. So that's my goal, is to just creating more, writing more stuff and working with great musicians. I have Oz Noy on my last two records on guitar. Gary Granger was on bass. Scott Ambush was on bass. I have some really good players on the records.
Yep.
And I did vinyl on this one too, on Contemporaneous. I don't know if I'll do it for my next one. My next one we're writing right now. I'm not sure where we're going to do it still. Not sure. I might go back to the Power Station, but we'll see.
Now, any of these albums and groups, do you do any performances with that?
Mm-hmm. We played the NAMM show a couple years ago. We played the Cutting Room in New York City. Haven't booked anything recently, but that's the goal, is to get the band working more.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yep. Now, do you have material for another album?
We're writing it now.
Writing it now.
I have a single out now. I have a couple of contemporary jazz, smooth jazz singles that are radio singles. I just put out a radio single last week. It got released and it's starting to chart. It's sort of like mailbox money.
Yeah. Nice.
So I love that aspect of writing too. I like writing like accessible music for people. I like doing that because not everybody's a fusion head. So, I like hearing my songs on the radio.
Yeah.
On watercolors or whatever it may be. So I feel as if that's something I'll always do. I'll keep writing singles, and but then the record we're in writing mode now with my buddy and Chris Fisher, who plays with Spyro Gyro. He's a keyboard player, so we're working on material right now. It'll take about a year to get it together, I think.
Now, do you have any upcoming live performances?
No, nothing coming up that we can plug right now. So
anything with anybody else, not that group? Like, do you have anything coming up, like in the city?
Nothing coming up right now. I mean, I've been very focused on getting this single going.
Yep.
And we may be in the middle of a move, so I'm not sure if that's going to transpire or not, so I haven't really committed to booking everything for the summer.
Yeah, which if you do move, I might come down with a flatbed and take your studio.
Oh.
if nobody
you
wants
want to come down and move down to Jersey, we should buy my house. But
I don't think I can afford it. You have a very nice house and piece of land.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm blessed to have a beautiful wife and two great kids, and And it's been fun journey, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward, and with the support of people like who support your page and your site and all that, and people who have supported me to help me through Kickstarter or whatever to do the records and stuff. That's how we're able to do it, and we're all helping each other out, So that's my mission, is to keep writing, keep working, keep teaching.
Yeah.
And I'm learning, just like other people are learning from me, I'm learning from other people. So
that's great.
Never-ending cycle.
So the way I like to end it, and I'm a little stealing from the great Dom Famularo.
Sure.
What are some words of wisdom for somebody that's, wants to be a drummer and is watching these things and looking at these great guys, and, you have like the Instagram, drummers that are, what is your words of wisdom for somebody that wants to get into this business, especially the way that the music industry is going?
Don't be a drummer, be a musician. And if you want to do it, but realize that you're not going to be making a living at it, like immediately. If ever, there'll always be something that's probably it will need some kind of supplemental work. Mm-hmm. So I would say follow, here's a pearl of wisdom that I like to say to people, something I feel as if I made up. People say, follow your dream. If you follow your dream and do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That's bullshit. You'll work 10 times harder.
Yeah.
Because it's yours.
Yeah.
It's always work.
Yeah.
And another one is, a dream without a plan is a nightmare. You can have a dream all you want, and dream, but you need to have a cogent plan, and that would be studying with people, networking with other musicians, not just drummers, because drummers don't hire drummers. Mm-hmm. Meet other musicians, and just don't be a dig me drummer. You know what I mean? That's not, it's good for clicks, but it's not good for work, man. Really. Yeah. Unless you're a guy like Tosh. Like Tosh, the drummer, is great. Like we've become sort of friends over the past few years, and he's did Lady Gaga's gig. Now he's in some other group, I forget. But he's a guy that went on there on Instagram, and he's got chops for days. But he's really authentic with his groove, man, and the way he plays so hard and like really dedicated. Just dedicate yourself to what it is that you want to do, and learn. Always learn, and don't stop learning. And have a great attitude. Just have a good attitude and be a good guy that people want to work with, and don't be a jerk. Yeah. There's a lot of really good drummers out there. I don't have to name them. The people who are watching may know. There's some people that are just jerks. Don't be a jerk. Don't be an egotist. There's always somebody better, and there's always somebody worse. Yeah. There's no such thing as the best, and you're just right there at everybody else. And always be inspired. Always be inspired. I watch. The other cat is really good. This cat, J. Rod Sullivan, he plays with Janet Jackson now. But it's an excellent young drummer, and he reached out to me on Instagram, and we became, friends, and hanging at PASIC and at NAMM and watching his career. And I enjoy it. I enjoy learning. I see some of his stuff. He goes, man, I love your organic ride that you designed, and I used it. And then I see his thing. He goes, I learned this, watching your video. And I said, now I'm going to take what you got. Now I'm going to learn what you did. Yeah. And that's it. Just keep learning. Yeah. Keep learning, always. You're never too old to learn.
Yeah. And if you want to learn, get a hold of Pat.
Yeah, hit me up. We can definitely do something.
He's in New Jersey.
Yeah. I'm in Central New Jersey. For
a while.
For the foreseeable.
We'll see.
We'll
but
see.
You can always do Zoom.
You can always do Zoom. Yeah, always do Zoom. Lots of Zoom students. So this was fun, man. We had some good margarita pizza.
Yeah, this is delicious.
I think we killed this pizza right here. Shout out to Amici's here in South Brunswick, New Jersey.
Yeah, I will put their links on there too.
Absolutely.
I'll get a card and leave their address and everything. Is there multiple places?
No, this is it.
This is the one.
Owned by a guy from Naples.
So you know it's good.
And you know it's good.
And it was good. I got some video of him making the pie, so we'll add that in there. All right, so this was Drummers Eating Pizza. Pat, I appreciate it.
It was a lot of fun,
Yeah, man.
And we did eat some pizza.
Yeah, we did. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace and love.